Good afternoon, you guys. Welcome back to Spillin' It. We have a new guest today.
Meet Allie.
Hello.
We have Allie here.
Yeah, she's going to tell us all about her story with MS.
Yeah, I for real, I don't know much about MS.
Yeah.
And so I am so interested to like learn all the things and like hear your story and all the things. She's like, I have a lot of things.
I have all the
tell you.
words. I have a lot of words. Always.
A lot of words.
Always.
Yeah. So tell us like kind of I guess we'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the beginning.
Let's go back. All right. I won't sing anymore. I might. I'm really sorry. Like you said it and now I'm like song lyrics. So yeah. So I met my husband when we were in college. We actually started dating then. We knew of each other. We went to the same high school.
Yep.
But
Did you have a big high school?
No, like it was like tiny. Like we had to drive your tractor to school day.
What?
We actually had that where I grew up, Cambridge, Isani.
Not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like not far. Like I was Chisago. Like
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, like you drive, your snowmobile, like, but like I didn't love high school. I didn't do the high school thing super great, and he was like a band geek. Like,
okay,
like if I could just like really make it like a typical rom com. Like I just thought he was weird.
Yeah.
I was weird, but I was like, oh, like you're weird. And so actually, like we ended up having biology together in college, and like I said something about Video Vault, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna tan when I go home at Video Vault, and he's like, are you from Chisago? And I remember being like, who's this weirdo that's overhearing my conversation I'm having at the top of my lungs because I'm loud? Like, I just remember thinking he was weird. And then, like we started dating my freshman year of college and got pregnant with our first daughter right out of college. It was like a really fun surprise.
Yeah. So how old were you ish?
I was 21.
21. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
I graduated college 3 days before I turned 21. I was in training. So actually my stepmom at the time was the top female agent for American Family.
Okay.
And I was in their agent in training program. And so like they knew my name.
Yeah.
Like I was known.
Yeah.
And about like 3 months in, I'm like, wow, I don't feel great.
Yeah.
And I was on birth control and NuvaRing at the time was like ineffective.
Oh.
Which we didn't know. Like there's actually like thousands of NuvaRing babies.
Serious.
Like I got
We were on the NuvaRing.
We never got pregnant when you were on it.
No.
But you were on it.
That thing was annoying though.
Yeah. Agreed.
Oh.
Pop that thing out.
Stories,
so stupid.
I'm sure I have some too. Like, where you're like, But yeah, no. So like we did get like a payout when she was like 3. Like we really didn't know how. We're like, this was like great. Like we didn't think I was gonna be able to have kids. And then we had Melody on birth control. And then like there was a class action lawsuit. Apparently thousands of other people also did.
Wow.
But we got $10.23. So it was fine.
Awesome.
It was fine.
It definitely covered the birth.
It was great. It was great. And so like, like even when I got pregnant with her, I ended up having some issues with my blood pressure. And for me, like I was such an achiever, like I graduated 3 days before my 21st birthday with a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
Like,
wow. Impressive.
One of the youngest agent in trainings ever, like was going to conquer the world. The plan was 2 years in agency and then move to Madison and move up the corporate ladder. And then I found out I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And ended up with some blood pressure stuff. And I'm like, this isn't for me. And I remember I just like, when you're going to disappoint your parents and you just like want to die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to my stepmom and I was like, hey, like, because she knew I was pregnant, but I was like, I don't think I'm going to keep like the training program.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, if I had a choice, I wouldn't have done it either. Like, you should stay home with your babies,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
oh, thank God.
Not the reaction I thought I was going to get.
So like the like, when you have those conversations in the shower on how things are going to go. And I was like,
you're like, it could go this way or this way.
Mm-hmm.
Not an in between.
Yeah. And so like, it just was like a hard, like my, like life direction changed. And so,
sharp left.
Yeah. Like sharp's just sitting still for me. Like where I was like, oh, like I'm no longer going at the speed I'm used to. And so kind of after I had her, I worked very part-time for my stepmom still. Like I loved insurance.
Yep.
And then when I got pregnant with my second, I was like, hey, like we're just gonna have me stay at home full time. And in order to do that, like we were young. So I was 23 when I got pregnant with our second, and we owned a house. And so my husband worked 2 jobs, and I like just, did the stay-at-home mom thing, which was so unexpected for me. Because I was always the like, I would get special permission from like the dean of students at my college. I'm like, can I take 21 credits this summer?
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I think I could do it while working full time. And then I was also, I really liked my one teacher and I could be a TA and earn money that way. And I'm like, well, this is easy. I can do it while I watch Dancing with the Stars. And so like, you know what I mean? Like it just, yeah.
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 And then you stay at home and you're like, wow, being a stay-at-home mom is a very hard, especially if you're like a busybody, because you aren't having interaction with adults almost like you're used to.
Oh yeah, no, you start talking to Dora.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, yes, Wiper, I see you.
You literally, there are a few movies that my kids just watched over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, I could cite all of Frozen because Nevaeh watched it all the time.
Oh,
Toy Story 2.
Legit started laughing like Olaf, and my husband's like, because like, you know, like you would like pick up mannerisms.
Yes, all the
like,
time.
My primary sphere of influence was Frozen for a while.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, Olaf, I'm laughing like Olaf. And my husband's like, you really like, can we find something else? And I was like,
you need a hobby.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I was like, I didn't even know I'm doing it.
Yes. So then, so you went from
like hardcore achieving to like, we're just staying at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was just kind of one of those things where like, I don't know, like I just didn't know that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Until
I went through that too.
I was just going to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
I remember even like when I was pregnant with my first, I'm like, I'm going to have to work. I'm going to be so bored. And then I had her and like I didn't even put my makeup on the first day and I just cried at my desk the entire first time I was away from her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I'm not meant to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. So then when did you start feeling like symptoms of was it like when you were staying home?
Yeah.
Like still?
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like I would say like my first, they call them relapses. I was like kind of sharing this with you guys where I'm like, people are like, you know, and you just like casually throw it out. Like it's just a lingo you're used to.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like, oh yeah, like when I had that relapse and people like assume you're an addict.
Right.
Yes.
And like typically because of like who I am as an ADHD weirdo, it's like you're cocaine.
Yes.
Like, are you
You're
okay?
like, no.
And I'm like, no. Like
Not that kind of
I was
relapse.
telling
Relapse
them-
is a weird word.
Yeah,
but
it
I
is.
will say
But-
to
and
use
it's-
for that.
Yeah, so it's called like, you know, so you have a few different forms. But
Yes.
like, yeah, so relapsing remitting is what I had. And so my first one, I was 6 months postpartum. And like I was sharing with you guys, like they're not entirely sure why. It's 6 months postpartum. A lot of women will have a relapse around that time. I haven't been able to find anything. Like best I could probably discern would be something to do with your hormone levels.
Sure.
Like I shared with you guys, like, you know, getting good quality sleep and some of those things are like so crucial to your just overall health anyways.
Yeah.
And
So what were you like? What did it feel like? And you didn't know what was going on with you?
No, like literally zero clue. So if you've ever had mono, it was like that level of exhaustion times 10. Like I just
fatigue,
was like, I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I cannot move my body. And then I had lost like 50% of hearing on this side overnight.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so we had a split level house. My husband was downstairs getting ready because then he didn't wake any of, you know, so my daughters were 6 months and 2
yeah.
at the time. I didn't have my third yet. And I like I was telling like I had to like crab walk down the stairs because I was so disoriented, like losing that hearing made me so off kilter.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to tip over. And he's like, well, you can hear me. And I'm like, I can hear it, but it's different. Like something's wrong.
Did it feel like there's like water in your ears or
No,
just
like,
literally
it just
was gone? Weird.
It
Wow.
was so weird. And so I went to the ER because
Yep.
I was like,
Something's wrong with me.
Something's really wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just have like this severe exhaustion and now no hearing on this side. So yeah, like just severe fatigue,
Loss of hearing.
loss of hearing.
Yeah.
Just like woke up and I'm like, I can't hear, but I can't hear.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably like one of the hardest things because you go in and you say that to a medical professional and they're like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like, so, like I remember the guy grabbing a wrapper and he's like, you can hear this. I'm like, I understand. What I'm telling you is it's not the same as it was yesterday and not the same as this side.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need you to understand something's severely wrong.
Yeah.
And I would say like that's probably one of the most important things was like doctors, like a lot of times people are like, oh, they didn't listen to me. And it's like, no, you were just willing to accept what they gave
Yes.
you.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Like,
100%.
and so like, if they go, is this reasonable? And you say yes, they're going to assume you're like, okay, this is good enough.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was like, he's like, you probably just, and I'm like, no, I need you to understand this is weird. Something's really wrong.
Right.
And he's like, okay.
Was this at the emergency room?
At the emergency room in
Okay.
Stillwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so he's like, you need to go see an ENT. Like, there's nothing I from here don't know anything.
Right.
I don't even know where to go from here. He's like, this sounds like I think probably what he was thinking is like, this sounds like someone else's problem.
Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't fix you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you might need psych.
So then did you have to go to an ENT after?
Yeah. So I thankfully was able to get in with an ENT right away. And they did a hearing test. And so like, for me, I say 50% of my hearing. It was probably a little bit more. So I hear like 120% on this side.
Okay.
And then this side went down to 50.
Wow.
So it was like 70% hearing loss, but really like for a normal human, it'd be like half of your hearing was just gone.
Did it come back?
No. So like actually like if I'm sitting in the car like and I'm in the passenger seat, I have to be like,
oh my gosh.
well, my husband's talking.
So that's like a symptom.
Yeah.
Like it's
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So like at this point, he was like, yeah, we have reason to believe like, this could be something serious, like a brain tumor.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
now what? Oh my God. The way I would just.
Yeah.
like I was
Spiral.
because I'm like by myself because my husband's with our kids.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, like, I can't walk, but I'm going to drive.
Honey.
Like what? Like, like what is that Midwestern in us? Like,
Yeah. I can go. It's fine.
Can't inconvenience you. Like
Yeah.
I literally can't walk. But
Well, it's like you got to get babysitters for all the kids, and you have a 6-month-old too.
Right.
Like,
who never took a bottle?
like, okay.
Like
Yeah.
I know my kids are gonna listen. Like,
Yeah.
never took a bottle. Like,
yeah. It's like, come home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just was like, oh my gosh, babes. Like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to figure it out. So yeah,
Yeah.
like they were like, this could be a brain tumor. We're gonna get you in for an MRI right now. And I'm like, well, that's fun for me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is not what I expected. And so
Yeah.
we went in and they're like, yeah, you don't have a brain tumor. And I'm like, well, that's great.
Yeah.
And it was like, nobody wants that.
No.
No.
But also I was like, something's seriously wrong.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, you have Meniere's. And so I look it up and it's like old people disease. Get it? It's like ringing in your ear, which is like tinnitus,
Right.
Oh.
yeah, hearing loss, like fatigue. But I'm like, okay, well, these just sound like a list of old people symptoms that you just have now given a disease name to. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
they were like, we can treat it, like we can, like help alleviate it with steroids. Well, I was breastfeeding the baby that doesn't eat a bottle.
Yep.
Correct. Yep.
And I was like, can I take these? Well, I do that. And they were like, no, you cannot. And I was like, okay. So like, what are our other options?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like one of those moments where I look back and I'm like, really wish we had known I had MS at this point. Because what they could do was give you a direct steroid injection into your ear. So they go through the
really?
eardrum. Like, I don't even
What?
I don't even know that you like want to know. Like, is it like it's so gross? Like, cause they like have to like tip you and then you're like leaned back like this.
Yeah.
And then they like go through your eardrum to numb it. And then they go through your eardrum again with the steroid. But like, it's like in your eardrum. So it's like you can hear it like go through and then you hear it filling. And it was
Does
like,
it hurt? It
oh my
sounds
gosh, I
painful.
came out of my skin. Like he did it and he's like, ma'am, I need you to sit still. And I was like, I am sitting still. And he's
Oh
like,
my
They didn't
God.
even give you like a Xanax or
No,
anything.
no.
Like,
I just, because I drove myself because like,
oh,
Yeah, I suppose.
kids. Like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, can I drive after? And they're like, you sure can. And I was like, okay, I guess I am.
So a
Wow.
needle went into
my
your
eardrum.
hole, into your drum.
Into the drum. And then they fill it up. Okay, I hate water in my ears. Like,
Yeah.
In the
Yes.
I
shower,
don't think anybody likes water in their
they
ears.
fill it up with steroids behind your eardrum. Like, so it's like fluid behind your ear. And then, like,
Why am I getting heebie-jeebied out? Like I have goosebumps. Like,
and it was like one of those things. I'm like, it freaking didn't do anything because evidently the issue was in my brain. Like it was like the brain connection was a problem, right?
Had
Oh.
it been what they thought it
Yeah,
was, it would
it would have helped.
worked. Got
okay,
it.
okay.
But
I understand. I wasn't following. Yes,
But
that makes sense.
But because like it wasn't actually the old people disease, like
It didn't do nothing.
it didn't do anything.
Okay.
And so like what we didn't realize is like when you have a relapse, like you have onset of symptoms, typically like they're really acute and then they can, get less.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, sweet, it worked because my symptoms were really acute and then they got less.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know, like, again, there wasn't like a ton of info out there on that, but like one of the things they use to treat an MS flare up or a relapse would be steroids.
Okay.
Right.
So like it probably did a little bit of like both. One, like, the symptoms were no longer acute,
Mm-hmm.
but then I don't know, like if my body just absorbed those steroids. I don't know really what they did behind my ear. Like they just went somewhere eventually because they're not there now.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if like they did the things they needed to do. And like
Right.
God was just like, I'm going to protect you in this because they don't know what's going on yet.
Yeah.
And I really do think had we known at that point it was MS, I probably wouldn't have had my third daughter knowing what I know now.
Okay.
Is like, you relapse 6 months postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would have been like, sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
so this was with your second.
This is my second.
Okay.
So August of 2013.
Okay.
And then
your symptoms kind of went away.
Right. But like,
ish.
Yeah. Like,
except for the hearing thing.
The hearing thing never really came back.
Okay.
But also, like, I had kids and a husband, and I was like, well, maybe, protection.
Yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Maybe
like,
it's a benefit.
It's like,
yeah.
Is this a perk?
So then you were like, okay, well, eventually.
Like, I just have like this weird ringing in my ear, old people disease thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sure. Like, I had other weird health stuff, and
mm-hmm.
had my gallbladder out like earlier that year.
Okay.
Like just things that like, my husband's like, this makes sense for you. Like, I had weird health stuff.
Yeah.
That they just kind of like would miss. Like that was just kind of like an ongoing trend for me for a while where like they're like, oh, like with my gallbladder, I had attacks for years. And then when I finally had gotten it out, they were like, this is the worst one we've ever seen. I'm like, oh, they just told me it was IBS. And I just, yeah. They're like, I have been out for a run and I ended up walking back. I didn't do a 5 mile. I just did 4 and walked 2. Because I was like, oh, like this is like really getting ouchy. And finally was like, I need you to bring me in. And they're like, you should have had this out a while ago.
Yeah.
So like, I just think like my husband's like, this is par for the course for you. Like,
I will say too, I mean, I feel like sometimes when this happened with Nevaeh, like you bring your problems to the doctor and then it's not really that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. It's this, it's that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, doctors are humans too. So like, of course they're going to make mistakes and miss stuff. It feels like they just downplay it. So it's not as, so it's like finding an answer can be a struggle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like again, like ADHD. So like if I'm not going to get an answer, like right away, then I like lose interest, even if it's my only even if it's my body, I'm just like, well, all right. And I guess like, it's fine. What we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, it was a joke my mom made at our wedding. She's like, no take backs. Like she's yours
now.
Like, we don't warranty whatever's happening with this one.
Don't come back. So then you had your third.
I had my third.
And that's when.
And that was like, even like that pregnancy. And some of it, like we kind of thought at first, because my middle never took a bottle, like I was pregnant with her, breastfed for 14 months. And then like had one period and then pregnant. We kind of thought like the pregnancy maybe was like a little harder due to like pregnant with my second, breastfed for 14 months, had one period and boom, pregnant.
Yeah.
And so like there was just some stuff there too. Like I was, when you're like, oh my gosh, I get my body back as my own.
Yeah.
As like, like obviously like it looks different because you've had kids, but like you get to do the things. And so I was like, I'm never like... I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, like I'm just gonna start with a 5K. I was like, I'm gonna do an ultra, and so I start training.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
this
ultra.
was after your third.
After my second, I was like, I'm gonna train for an ultra.
Okay.
And then I got pregnant, and I was like, oh, and I was like, this shouldn't be this hard. Like I am in great shape. Like something is not right.
Yeah.
And then I started having things that like when you're pregnant would be concerning. So like think contractions, but one side of your body.
Oh,
interesting.
And so it was like just my right side. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having contractions. Like, but it was like not like where it would come and then it would go. It was like, I'm having a contraction on one side of my body that is getting tighter and tighter. And it hurts so bad. And I go in and they're like, you have round ligament pain.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, no, because I've had that. I'm literally 8 weeks pregnant. Like,
oh, you were.
I was brand new.
Yeah.
I was like,
doesn't that happen at like 12?
Like, well, and it's like when you're stretchy, like it's like that skin is like, you're like carrying.
You're like, this is my third also.
Right.
I know the difference.
Yeah. And so like, I think at the very beginning there, like that's really where things started. Like, and I kept having different things where I'm like, this is different.
Yeah.
And so I remember going in at one point and I was like, half my face is asleep. Like it's just asleep. Like half my face has fallen asleep.
Did it droop?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
no,
it
so
just
it
felt
was so
tingly?
weird. Yes.
Yeah.
Like it was like half my face is asleep. Like I literally would sit there and like my nose feels asleep.
Weird.
And they're like, you pinched a nerve. And I was like, okay. I could see that.
Right.
I guess.
Sounds right. Sounds right.
Always got one explanation.
I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But I just remember them being like, in like that whole pregnancy, and I shared this with you guys, I kept telling my husband, I'm like, something's really wrong with me. And if you die, I want you to know I knew.
I'm
I
dying.
just want you to know. Like, I knew something was severely wrong with me, but I knew that. And so if I do die, like, you could put it on my gravestone. She knew.
She knew.
She knew.
She knew it was coming. She knew it was coming.
Here lies Allie. She knew.
She knew.
The way Ethan would be like, babe, you're fine. Yep. Because, I would say that.
But I remember, like, even telling him this, and I'm like, do you remember, like, the summer before our senior year of college, like, I was in and out of the hospital, like, I was having so many issues, and they're like, you have IBS. And then we found out a few years later, they're like, my gallbladder was doing nothing. I had like 20 gallstones, sledge, like,
wow.
The ultrasound tech's like, technically I shouldn't show you this, but like, this is a big deal. Like, you were out for a run. I'm like, yeah, they just told me it was IBS. Like, I'm not a quitter. Like,
yeah.
I'm not a quitter. So yes, I had a training run. I did the run, minus 1 mile, walked 2 of them.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, I remember telling Jake, I was like, I'm always right with this stuff. Like, I know my body. I know something is wrong. And I think like some of that almost created like this secondary thing of like anxiety.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, nobody's listening. Maybe I am crazy. Like, maybe actually I'm a little nuts.
Yeah.
Like, and not just like my regular, like, quirky, weird nuts, but like, oh, you're like really maybe.
Yeah. Like, am I making this up? No, for real.
Like, off the deep end.
Yeah.
Watch as I dive in. Like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And then, like, you kind of almost just don't want to say anything. So you're like, wow, am I really that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, are you people going to take my kids? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, am I like crazy? It's so weird because, like, I just remember that entire pregnancy was so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hard. I ended up like with her, I don't know, like I never say it right. I can spell it, like prodromal labor, like where you just have contractions, but they're not really like actual contractions.
Like they're not doing anything.
Yeah. So I had that for like 8 weeks with her.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Towards the end or?
Yeah. Like I was like 32 weeks. I was in a wedding on New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
Started having contractions. Ended up having to go, like made it through the whole ceremony. Like you could see my stomach through my dress, like contracting.
Wow.
And I go in, they're like, oh yeah, it's just nothing. I'm like, okay. And like, it really wasn't. Like, I think I went in like 2 or 3 more times after that, having contractions. And they're like, yeah, like it's not active labor though. Like it's not doing anything. So when I finally had her, I was just like, get her out.
Yeah.
They're like, do you want an epidural? I was like, yes. Like I've been in active labor without one for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get her out.
Yeah.
And then like I can look back now and I remember it being 6 months postpartum because now again, like breastfed for like, you know what I mean? Like it was like this whole long period of time. And so with my third, I was like, I can't breastfeed for a year. Like I was like, I can't do this again, which like you don't say in the mommy groups, like people come for you.
Yeah.
And I was like mentally, like the thought of me doing this for another, like I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And my stepmom had offered me the opportunity to go travel with her to California with her and my sister. And so I was like, I don't like pumping. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I guess like you can hate me for it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But my baby's getting cut off the boob at 6 months.
Yep.
Tap is dry. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I remember being on that trip in that very similar, like, and I just remember being like, they were liars because I have the same pain and I'm not pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
Because my husband had, you know, like we made it permanent. Like,
yeah.
Knew I wasn't pregnant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Made him get double checked. Like, knew that was not the case. And so I remember sitting there though, like, and we're at this hotel because it's AmFam. Like, they go all out. So it's like the montage.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, somewhere like bougie in California. I can't remember.
Yeah.
You can look it up. They have great coffee. I just remember the coffee being
Love
divine.
coffee. Yeah.
Because I wasn't breastfeeding. I could drink it all.
Right.
Yes.
Like I literally texted Ethan on the way here and he's like, do you want a coffee? And I was like, no. I was like irresponsible with my coffee consumption already today.
That made me laugh. I cackled out loud. I was like, she sounds like me. Like I would love one, but I can't.
Right.
My soul
It
wants
wouldn't be
one.
good for
my
me.
body is like,
My body's like, absolutely not.
please don't. Like you're going to just vibrate out of your chair.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, we're in this beautiful spot and I'm like, oh, something's just not right. And I'm exhausted, but I can drink caffeine. So I'm going to like caffeinate.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember having those pains and I'm like, maybe it was something to do with my like gallbladder being taken out. You know, like you start kind of like gaslighting yourself.
Yeah.
And so, you know, at this point, like I'm not breastfeeding, like I can start working out. Like I've always loved working out. Running was just like my favorite form of therapy. Like loved hanging out. If you can't tell, like little ADHD, like need to move to make
Absolutely.
so that I could focus my brain.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I would just run and it was just like my favorite thing. And so didn't get to do any of my races. Like I had planned 10 races when I got pregnant with
Wow.
Laura, surprise. Didn't know we were going to have her.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, like we know we're done. Like I can like really go hard at this. Like I think I had a streak, like even when I went to California with like my mom and sister, you know, and I was like, I can't break my streak. And so like I'm making them work out with me in like the hotel room. And, and so at this point, you know, it's coming up on February. So this would be February of 2016. So Laura isn't quite one yet. And I was out for a training run and I remember starting and I was like, oh, my leg's asleep. This is weird. And I keep going.
Yeah.
I just kept going, you know, because I was like, oh, like I pinched something. Like, you know, like I
pinched a nerve.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and like, just like I'm hypermobile, like weird things happen, whatever. Like it was like 40 degrees in February. Like you don't waste that in Minnesota.
No.
Like there's no ice on the road. Like, this is great. Mm-hmm. And it was like about a mile into my run, I was dragging my leg. Like it wasn't legging anymore. But I was like, I'm young. I'm 26. So I called my mom, who like doesn't live anywhere near me. I mean, she did. She was like 25 minutes away, right? But like not like just up the road. Right. And I was like, hey, Mom, like I was out for my run. And she's like, oh, like, okay. You know, like, but like not unusual for me because like I would call my mom and be like, what are you doing? You know, like I just like that's the relationship we had. And I was like, I'm out for my run and like I'm dragging my leg. And she's like, what? Like she's used to my shenanigans.
The way I would like just record it and send it to my mom, like, do you think I should? She'd be like, immediately get to the emergency room.
Yeah. And so she's like, well, like, where's Jake and the girls? I'm like, well, they're eating dinner and I don't want to bother them. And I was like, so if you just want to stay on the phone with me while I walk home. Yeah. And I'm like dragging my leg. And now at this point, like my arm feels numb.
Oh my God.
Like it's asleep.
Did you think like you were having a stroke?
Oh, here's what's weird is like you describe the symptoms. You'd be like, you're having a stroke.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I would.
I kept doing this thing where I'm like, if I can smile.
Yeah.
If I can smile. So I'm not.
Okay.
And I was like, but I'm not having a stroke. Like, I was like, I know these are stroke symptoms, but I'm not having a stroke.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew it.
Yeah.
But, like, also, I was like, I feel like that's stupid because I look like I'm probably having a stroke.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, I could still make my leg do stuff, but it wasn't doing what it should be doing. You know, like, it just felt weird. And so I remember, like, just being like, just stay on the phone with me. And if the line goes dead, like, let Jake know this is where, like, the ambulance should find me.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. My mom would freak out.
Yeah. She'd be in the car.
Be like, I'm here
right
now.
But, like, remember, like, my mom's, like, used to my weird. You know,
Yeah.
I had some weird health stuff. Like, and so, like, I just was like, no, like, I'm going to walk home with my, like, that's kind of dragging.
Yeah.
And I got through the door and I remember telling my husband, I do this thing, like, if something's really bad, I laugh.
Oh gosh, so do I. It's like an uncomfortable. I'm really uncomfortable. I'm scared, but I don't want to cry. Mm-hmm. So I'll laugh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was literally like I come through the front door with like my little draggy leg, and we live in a split level, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, I think I'm having a stroke."
Was he like,
And now keep in mind, like weird stuff be happening. Like, I mean, my mom, like, I don't know if she had him sign the warranty policy, like no take backs, but like
literally,
he was like, okay. And so, like, I just started doing, like, weird stuff, like, where I was like, okay, maybe it's, like, the sports bra. Like, you know, I'm, like, well endowed. Like, am I wearing, like, too tight of a sports bra that has pinched something in my spine that has made half my body go numb? Like, you know, you just, like, you're like, how could I rationalize this so it's more comfortable?
Yeah.
And so I sat there, flipped my legs up the wall. Like, I was like, oh, like, maybe it's a blood flow.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm, like, on the phone, and I called the nurse line. I even called 911. And I was like, hey, nurse line, like, these are my symptoms.
Yeah.
Well, did they say go in?
And she's like, ma'am.
Yeah.
I need you to take this seriously. And I was like,
fine.
Because I literally was like, oh, tra-la-la. Stroke-like symptoms.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I will get off the line with you, but you need to call 911.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, you think it's that serious? And she's like,
yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes, please do. And so at this point, like, we had a friend over, call 911. They show up and they're like, have you ever had anxiety before? And I was like, apparently I do right now. I don't know. Like, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, but I was like shaking and, you know, and my, you know, all my muscles, but I was also like, well, I was running in February. I'm pretty sweaty and I was really cold. So, you know what I mean? Like, I was like at a nice brisk pace until I couldn't use my legs. So I was sweaty and then I walked outside. So I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm shivery. I'm shivery.
Right.
Like, I'm a cold girl. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, we can either take you in. We don't think you're having a stroke, but like you should be seen. We can either drive you in or somebody else can. And they're like, there's no charge right now because they had come out. And so I had my friend drive me and I'm like, I don't know if it's like just a Midwest thing, but I'm like, okay, Kyle, like you just drop me off and I'm going to call my mom and she'll come pick me up from the hospital. Like she's used to this.
Yeah. I love having my mom come to it. I'm like, Mom, you need to come. I don't know why. I'm like, it's fine. But I always feel like I just need somebody with me.
I was like, like Jake, don't bother yourself and the kids. Like, I'm just going to like BRB.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the ER for this not
right,
stroke.
because then otherwise you're bringing everybody, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and like, I think the girls at this point, so Tessa maybe had just turned 4. Okay, so Laura would have been, she had just turned 3. Laura was almost 1, and then Melody was almost 5. So like they were little, like the ambulance showing up. At this point was like cool, but like nothing scary happened. I'm like, no, like I don't want to traumatize them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I'm like, just kick me to the curb, like drop me off at the ER.
Yeah.
I'll walk in. I'll call my mom. She's used to this. Like she had to come pick me up when Jake dropped me off and my gallbladder was gallbladdering.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, it's me again. I'm in the ER. Come grab me.
Yeah.
And I remember being there. They did a head CT like right away just to confirm because I was like, things are asleep that shouldn't be. And it started during activity.
Right.
And they were like, girl. Head CT was clear.
Okay.
And so he comes in and he goes, hey, like it's probably like a complex migraine that you're having, or it could be MS, but that's really rare. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, there it is.
Really?
There it is. And so I remember like, and you start researching things, but like the things that like I was getting was like ALS, which is terrifying. I had a really good friend in high school whose mom passed away from it, and like his whole family got it.
Wow.
Like his aunts, like a lot of the women in the family had gotten it. And so as a mom of 3 girls, that to me was terrifying.
Yeah.
And not even just like for myself, but like I can handle it, but like the thought of my kid.
No.
Right. Yeah. No, you don't want your kid to go.
I was like,
anything. Oh
my gosh. Or it was like, you have brain cancer, spine cancer, ALS, like, or MS was one of the things. And it just had to happen. Like we had a photographer like complimentary when we had a baby that she did like newborn photos for everybody like that ever like came into the hospital, and she had MS. So, like we were friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so like I had seen her journey, and like she still ran, she did all of this stuff. And so like that to me was like the least scary option.
Yeah.
That explained everything.
Yeah.
And so when he said that, I'm like, I have that. I know I have that.
Yeah.
And so then I start researching.
You're like,
oh yeah, no, I was like,
that would be me.
Google doctor PhD. Like I have a certificate. You can get them. And I just remember like going home, but there are weird things. So I would put my chin to my chest and my arm would fall asleep. I bend over, like I bend in half and my leg would fall asleep. And I can't remember the name of this like particular thing that occurs with MS patients. Like it has a name. It's been years. Like I don't have that symptom anymore. And therefore it has just like fallen by the wayside of things that are important.
Yeah.
Like I remember other dumb stuff, but that's gone.
Yeah.
So I just remember like there were just some things like that.
Yeah.
And so
can you explain like MS?
Yeah. So I call it the zombie apocalypse disease.
Okay.
Like if there is one, they're going to choose me as one of their own and I'm good. So
I can't wait to hear.
Like I'm going to live.
Yeah.
So it will attack your immune system, will attack your brain. It attacks healthy tissue.
Okay.
And so it will attack your brain. It will attack, you have something over your spine called the myelin sheath.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will attack your optic nerve. Are like kind of like the 3 main areas of attack.
Okay.
And so when you're in an active flare, there's so many different things that can send you there, like stress, sleep, deprivation. There's a lot of them and we can get into that. But basically what it does is like, it's like if you have a scab or a cut on your arm, but it's in your brain.
Yeah.
So they call them lesions. External lesion inside, like actually actively. So I had one on my brain that I named Bertha on my right temporal lobe.
Can you see it? I don't get it.
Like not externally. You can see it on the MRI.
Like an MRI. So what does it look like?
And I can like send you guys a picture of one. Like
I would love to put that.
I have it like circled. It might even be labeled Bertha. Like
So like it's a picture of a
like so yeah like you do like when you do your MRI, like they put contrast in and
Yep.
then it'll light up.
Yeah. No.
And so I have had some in my brain. I remember initially when I first went in, they were on my spine.
Oh.
And I remember being like, sweet, it's not my brain. Well, evidently what they find statistically is if it attacks your spine first, you typically have a more aggressive form.
Oh.
Okay.
And so like initially I was like, sweet, not my brain. Like I'm winning. And then I started doing my own research and I was like, oh, on my spine. That's not winning. We don't like that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many nerve endings. So mine were really, truly tiny, like millimeters. And so like 2 to 3 millimeters here or there. And they were taking out entire sides of my body.
Whoa.
Like entire sides of my body. And so, yeah, like I remember going in after about a week later. So I had gone to the ER. He's like, it could be MS. And I remember like, I started telling I'm like, I know.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, Allie. And I'm like, no, like you can't convince me. And so I remember I went to see a PA, and this is like, I think probably one of the most important things. Like I want people to understand, like, you know, your body, like a doctor gets a half hour with you, you know,
Absolutely.
your body. And so I was just telling them on the way in, I'm like, I look really put together. I had a doctor's appointment for my daughter. And so like, I'm like, they're nicer to you when you look put together and you look like you know what you're talking about. And so like, be informed, like know what to ask for, like when you go in. But this girl, I go in and she was younger, like she was a PA. I didn't even see a doctor. And she goes, could it be anxiety? And I like smacked my hand on the desk. And I was like, listen, you telling me that is giving me anxiety. I was like, I'm going to be the patient that you go, shit, I should have done more.
Yeah.
I missed it. And I was like, I'm telling you right now, whatever this is serious and it could kill me. And I have 3 small kids at home.
Wow.
I'm like, do you want to be that doctor? So she literally looks at me and she's like, okay. And so she went down and she's like, I think you need a neurologist. And they like put in like this neurologist I had never met, puts in for these MRI scans. And then my insurance wouldn't approve them.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. So then I called and I'm like, here's the deal. Like, this is what's going on. 3 small kids. Whatever this is bad enough that I'm like, do you really want to be the reason they don't have a mom? You know, like I called the insurance and I was like, do you want to be that person? And this lady, I think, was just like, what the heck? And I'm usually like a people pleaser, like, oh, like if you can get me on the schedule, that's good. But like, if not, like, it's okay. I'm just bleeding out my ear. I can handle it.
Yeah. Not a big deal.
But I think because I was kind of like at the point where I'm like, something is so wrong. Like, what if I drop dead and I have my kids at home and I'm home alone with them?
Yeah.
And like, I think because I had that component, I'm like, okay, you be brave.
Yeah.
You be brave. You be a confronter.
Mm-hmm.
Which like we should just do that for ourselves. But I think sometimes being a mom like really just gives you that extra. Yeah, that extra. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. I went in for a scan. And one of the things I will say is like, I don't know if you guys know what the Gallup Strength Finder is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my number 1 is positivity, which can be like really great in these situations, but like sometimes I just have a tendency to be like, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And so like I remember like even sharing, you know, online, I'm like, oh yeah, like going in for these scans, but like I always pray for time to sit still. And it's 3 hours in a tube because they go through your entire brain and your entire scan, like your spine.
Oh, wow.
It's 3 hours in a tube.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like the little cage over your face. So if it is something like, if you guys are like, oh, I'm going to have to go through testing for this, like the best thing, like just be in denial. Like they're like, are you claustrophobic? I'm like, no. And they're like, we're going to put this over your head. I'm like, I'm going to shut my eyes.
Yeah.
And just pretend like if I open it and see it, maybe that will freak me out. But I'm just going to see it with my eyes shut. And it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like just put on some KTIS and like, I'm just going to take this break from the Lord.
I would be like, I get very claustrophobic.
Yeah, no, I had to like drive myself because again, like kids and like 1 income household. So I just was like, I do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like a huge turnaround for us. They were like, yeah, you do have active lesions. And they're like, but it could be other things. Like, let's not jump right to this disease that is not curable, just manageable. And I'm like, cool. So they did a spinal tap, which like, it's just not fun because like you have a needle in your spine.
Yeah.
Without like a cute baby at the end. Like, you know what I mean? Like getting an epidural, great. Squishy baby at the end.
Yep.
Yeah. Spinal tap, MS at the end. Not fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like there's restrictions. Like you're supposed to sit still and like not pick up your cute squishy kids. I didn't do that. Do that. do the restrictions.
Yeah.
And so I like popped it. And so I was like leaking spinal fluid and got like a severe migraine.
Oh, wow.
And so like my mom brought me back to Regions.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you just need more fluids and caffeine. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they send me home. They're like, no, it's really bad. So I had to go in for a blood patch, which is like they like do an X-ray. Do you know what this is?
No.
Oh, okay. So if you do get in that situation, it sounds really, really scary.
Yeah.
And anybody, like if you've had an epidural and you get this severe migraine,
That's
immediate relief with this blood patch. Sounds really gross. So at this point, like terrified to stand up. Like I can't even walk 5 feet without laying on the floor in the hospital because it was so severe.
Yeah.
And what they do is they put you under an X-ray. They take blood out of your arm and inject it into the hole in your spine.
Ooh.
And then it reclots.
Oh.
And then your spinal fluid isn't like just in your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so like, then they were like, they got to test it before you leave. And so like, bless my mother's heart. Like she really did put up with a lot. And so she's like, okay, like they're like, you need to sit up. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to. I don't think I'm going to do that. Like that hurts really bad. And they're like, well, no, like it's been long enough. Like it should be fine. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. Actually, like, can you just like roll me out and I can just like climb into her backseat? And my mom's like, Allie Marie.
Allie Marie.
We need to go home.
Yeah.
Like,
sit
up. And so she mom voiced me. And you
Yeah.
guys, like, I'm old. Like, I had, I'm 26. I had 3 kids.
Listen, if my mom still talks to me like that, I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
I was like, you're right.
got it.
She's like, Allie Marie. And I was like, okay.
Middle name.
Like, if my siblings listen to it, they're going to be like, oh, like you listened. Like,
So then you sat up?
I sat up and it was fine.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, like, this is great.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, but you need to sit still this time. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm definitely not doing this again. And I did. Like, I actually, like, it settled. I allowed people to, like, come help me.
Yeah.
You know, like, all these people that were like, hey, we would love to bless you. And I'm like, no, that's too big of an inconvenience for you.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay.
Okay, I do need
traumatizing.
help. Yeah.
The blood patch was gross. I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, let's rule out some of these other things. And basically once they did that, they were like, okay, in order for it to actually be MS, within 6 months, you need to have another relapse.
Oh.
I'm like, okay. So
you're just waiting for one?
So you're just jumping through hoops and they're like, and here's another one. And here's another one. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
So are they different every time?
Yes. So based on like, because your brain does different things in each spot. Your spine controls different things in each spot.
Yeah.
And so depending on where your body attacks.
Where the lesion is.
Yep. You get different symptoms. And so, yeah. So like I've had it where it's like attacked my optic nerve. And so like I was going to like read to my kids and all of a sudden there's just holes in the page.
Wow.
Like I'm like, oh, we're just singing tonight.
You knew that it was not. It actually didn't have a hole. Like I'm like I would be like, oh my god,
like
something's
no,
wrong with this
like
book.
the page is there,
weird,
but it's just like black holes have been in your vision.
Okay.
And so my next relapse I had, that's kind of what it did. That time it was like somebody had closed a curtain on half my vision.
Okay.
And like I just had like some other things where like you would get like extreme fatigue, and then like other symptoms would kind of crop up.
Do you go to the doctor every time you have these, or you're like, write it down and then tell me at our appointment?
So like initially that's what I did, right?
Okay.
Like we were still kind of like, like what is this?
Yeah.
You know, and again, like I was in some mom groups, had some really good friends. There was a girl, she was like, hey, my mom has this. She doesn't eat gluten, doesn't do dairy, and her symptoms are better. And so I was like, perfect. So I like went full research mode because again, like I have this thing, and I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or whatever, but like if I'm either not going to do it, like beg,
or you're doing it 100%,
like cornhole or whatever you call it, because I won't do it because I won't win.
Yeah.
Like I'm terrible at it.
Yeah.
Won't do it. Or I'm going to be the best at it.
Yeah. Listen.
And so
it's either 0 or 100.
Yes. And that's
There's
it.
not an in between.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
No. Like if I'm going to do it, like I remember like baking for our county fair in the middle of nowhere. I was like, I got a blue ribbon. I'm like, it's not good enough. There's a purple. Like there's grand champion. And my husband's like, are you kidding? You don't cook at home, but you're baking for the fair. I'm like, yes. Do you give me ribbons?
Yeah. Well, listen.
I'll start giving you ribbons.
Sir.
So you went full gluten-free, full.
I did AIP, so autoimmune protocol.
Okay.
And so, yeah, like there's a diet out there. There also, I found a book by Terry Walls. She was a neurologist, not neurosurgeon. She got MS, did their protocol, and she got sicker.
Oh.
And so she started researching, and there's this protocol that she came up with, and her symptoms improved. So much so that you can't tell. And like one of the things for hers was like she ate liver, like organ meat. And I'm like, I'm just not walking, I guess.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I think I just am okay not walking.
How do you even cook a liver? Freaking gross.
Somebody was like, just put onions on them. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Liver and onions.
It's the real thing.
Like, I was like, I just sounds like I want MS.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like my will to live is gone. And so like I just like really started researching like diet and like your lifestyle and sleeping. And so like for me, like I've said, like running was like huge to me. Like like that, you know, they were like, so when your body overheats, if you have an active lesion, it flares up your symptoms. Well, so like exercising to the point of like getting overheated. And so I was like, rather than just like completely give it up, I'm like, I'm going to continue weight training. Like, you know, keeping your body strong is so important, you know, especially if like all of a sudden you're not able to use your right leg.
Right.
And so I just remember being like, okay, like Sunday is run day. Like, and so I give myself 1 mile, and I got really good at like tucking and rolling. So like all of a sudden, like 1 mile in, couldn't feel my leg. And
for real.
And then like sometimes you can't stop. Because I was like, okay, I'm going to run as fast as I can. As fast
your
as
neighbor's like, she's down again.
Like thankfully we were like in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm over here.
Like,
good that you have your watch. You're like, ping.
Yeah. Well, and
or
like,
those life alert buttons on your...
And like I've always been kind of a klutzy human, so I'm like, oh, like just dust off and like shake it off.
Keep going.
So I would get like my 1 mile in, and then I'd walk home, and like that was like my treat, right? Like I like say it out loud. I'm like, oh yeah, people do think I'm weird. I probably am.
But it's like accomplishing something. Like for you, you're like,
well, and I was
that's
like,
what I needed for today.
If this is what it is, it's not going to take this away from me. It was like really where my mindset was.
Yeah.
And so like even in that, like 2 months prior, I had applied for seminary. I was going to go for my master's in children and family ministry. And it's like so funny. Like bless my husband's heart. I'll do this thing where I'll think on something for a year, and I'll like pray on it, and I'll be like, oh, this and this and this. And like, what about this? And then all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, here's my full dissertation TED Talk. What do you think right now in this minute on something I've thought about for a year? And he's like,
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
It is, I think it's an ADHD thing, because like I'll just randomly tell him like, oh, I've been thinking we should relaunch, like literally. We've been talking about not doing the podcast, and then I was like, no, I think we should relaunch it. And we have everybody in Minnesota like have store, and he's like, where did this come from? Like, I've been thinking about it for a long time.
I'm learning a lot.
And I'm silent about it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, here.
Yep.
I don't have research though. I'm like, this is my idea.
I have spreadsheets and stuff.
Oh,
like
you're
it's
way
so
better than me.
weird.
Yeah.
No, it's so weird. Like I like don't even know how to describe how type A and type B I am, and how annoying it is that I'm both. Like I annoy myself.
Yeah. I'm
all the
full
time.
type B.
All the time.
Yeah.
So annoyed. Like,
so you decided you were like going to go, so you already had a degree.
I had my bachelor's in business and retail management. And then just like really was like, oh, I think this is where the Lord has me. Like I love serving in kids and family ministry. Like, you know, and there was just like some things that I'm like, oh, like, and I love school.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me preface that. I love learning about the things I love learning about.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't love school. There's a reason I got out before I was 21.
Yeah.
And it was because like if I'm going to do it, I'm going to get it done as fast as I can.
Yeah.
Because if I have to be here, like it's going to be at my speed.
Yeah.
And so like even during this time, you know, people are like, hey, like MS is going to stop you. It's going to slow you down. And so I think for me, I was like, I'm going to keep running. I'm going to still go get my master's. Like I'm going to do this.
Yep.
And so like it was, you know, I had my initial like, hey, I have been out for a run in February. By July, I have relapsed again, which is pretty close together.
Yeah.
And so at this point, they're like, you need to actually see a neurologist. Yep, you have lesions in your brain this time. And for whatever reason, to me, that was so scary. Like I remember like calling my mom at work, and like I don't know why I would, because like my mom would be like sometimes okay in a crisis, but the initial information she never took well. And so like I remember calling her, just like, hey mom. And I'm like sitting on the floor in my bathroom, because I don't know, like that's just the best place to be when you're like processing and you're like traumatized. I don't know. Maybe that's just an Allie thing. Like,
no, I don't know why I have to be on the ground. I'll go in my closet. That's my place.
Yes.
Yeah.
I sit on the closet all the time.
And I shut the door. I'm like,
yes,
I need a tall, tiny, small. I just need a small space.
Yeah. Like I will sit like between our clothes and like the clothes basket.
Oh
Stop
my
it!
gosh.
Stop it!
Dead ass. I should have. I
This
even
is-
could have took a freaking picture.
This is wild. About 3 minutes ago, I was going to be like, the similarities between you guys is insane. And
It's
this
wild.
one was literally just put it over the top.
Yeah, like that. I thought that was
Like,
just a me
where
being
are
weird
you?
thing.
And like, you're behind all the clothes.
Okay,
Listen,
back
I
of the
like
closet.
I cannot
feel
recommend
secure.
getting a poof enough. Like I have like a little circle pillow now that I just have in there because I'm like I like to sit here. I might as well be comfy.
I'm gonna get one now.
Yeah, like I injured my tailbone like 5 years ago, like really bad, and so I'm like, oh, like this is just uncomfortable. And finally, like after 3 years of it being uncomfortable, I'm like, oh, you know what? I bet if I put a pillow down, this would be great.
So I can stay in here longer.
So I can stay here
Yes,
longer.
100%.
But what's so funny is like my kids know like that's where I'm at, and so like they'll just sometimes come join me in the closet.
Like, can I come in?
Yeah, like literally yesterday I was like working through some stuff and Jake comes home from work and I'm on the floor in the bathroom and he's like, I'll join you. And I'm like, sure. And I'm like, isn't this great? No. He's
Yeah.
like, I just
Ethan
love
can't
you.
sit.
Yeah.
I just love you.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Oh, so you called your mom
call my
to
mom
say that you had.
and she like she did this thing with her purse, like where, you know, like when you hook your sleeve or something, she
Mhm.
hooked the strap of her purse on like the top of a railing and like flung herself down the stairs.
Oh my
like
gosh!
she like fell down the stairs. So like, so I'm like, Mom,
As you're on the phone,
I'm
with-
like, yeah, I'm like sobbing, and the kids are napping, and I'm like,
my mom's falling down the
trying to be
stairs.
quiet, and I'm like, and it's in my brain, and I
my
think
God.
I'm dying. Like I'm certain this is bad.
Yeah.
And she's like, Allie, it's okay. I'm coming right now. And then, you know, like, did you guys like grow up watching like Goof Troop and like Goofy and like
Yes.
the weird sounds he would make when he
Yeah.
would like fall?
Uh-huh.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That was like my mom. Like I'm on the phone and just like hear this like insane like Ratarella thunder clatter like all the way down the stairs. And then the phone goes dead, and I'm like, well, now my mom's dead. Like, I was like,
Oh,
Oh my
my
gosh.
gosh!
and so like I think for me, like that was just the thing where I'm like, oh, this has gotten so ridiculous. Like I can't even be sad about it. Like she calls me back and I'm like, "Ugh, you're such a topper. Like you just couldn't let me be upset.
Yeah.
Like do I
Come
need to
on,
be
Mom.
worried about you?
Yeah.
Like what are you doing?
Did you break a leg?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so
I
rude.
have lesions in my brain.
It's
I wanna
about
talk
me
about it.
right now, and you're throwing yourself down the stairs. Like, fine, I'll get it together. Like,
Fine.
fine. But yeah, so I remember like the neurologist, like I went in, she's like, yep, you have MS. And so like Jake's with me and we're like, okay. And she's like, here's drugs. Like here are 2 drug packets. Here are like the main kinds of drugs you can do. There are shots you do either every 3 days, every day.
Oh.
These are your options. And I was like, okay, so like I've been doing this thing like with my diet and like exercise and I've read all these things. She's like, that's placebo. It doesn't do anything.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I reject that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like immediately I'm like, oh, you're dumb. And like,
You're like, okay,
and so,
I need a new doctor.
So like immediately I was like, oh, like, and I think my face, like I actually got like a magnet from one of the girls I homeschool. And it says like, I've learned to, like the Lord has like set a guard over my mouth, but not my face.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like sometimes I'm like, oh, you're making that face out loud. Stop it.
Yeah.
She's like, reel it back in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, so I'm going to like, I do this thing and actually like I still do it. Like we run a business. We got our insurance policy for the year. And the guy before he handed it to me, he goes, you don't need to read this. Because I did the last time. I like read our entire insurance like business thing. It's like 100 pages of all these different things. But I'm like, I just want to know.
Yeah.
Like, what are you not doing? Why shouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, Allie, like there's nothing in there. Like, and so I went home and I read these drug packets and you guys, like the marketing on them, I'm like, this is expensive. Like if you've ever done any sort of marketing, like put together a pamphlet, like these things are in folders, like
Yep.
high quality paper. And I'm like, and so I read all the way to the back and you look at, you know, like the trials. And so you have your placebo group and you have your active ingredient group. And I read all the side effects and they're bad. Like you'll see a lot of MS patients, and there's a couple reasons I think for this, like heart attack, stroke, typically.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is you just don't freaking know. Again, I was having stroke-like symptoms,
Yeah.
and really the only way to not know or to know is like you get a head CT. And so I think sometimes if you've had MS for so long, you're like, just know the relapse. I'm going to take a nap.
Right.
Yeah.
And you go to sleep. Or same with a heart attack. You know, I'm having these symptoms. I'm going to go take a nap. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to be fine. They're going to get better in a few days. Another thing I think is a lot of the drugs are really hard on your liver, kidneys, heart, all of things. Like they're heavy duty drugs,
Yeah.
big side effects. And I remember reading this and I'm like, okay. But then you get to the back and where it says the active ingredient in the placebo group, it was like 5 to 8% difference of relapse rate. So people that were like in the placebo group, 78% of them weren't relapsing, but then like 84% of the active ingredient weren't relapsing. And I'm like, so you're really looking at a 6% difference for all of these side effects.
Yeah.
Is that worth the
risk?
Do these meds help you not have a flare up?
Correct. That's the goal of these drugs.
Kind of keeps it at bay.
Okay.
Is it supposed to help you manage?
Got it.
Because there's no cure as of allegedly right now.
So did you decide then?
I decided not to.
Okay.
Yeah. I decided not to. And again, like, you know, I think I share with you guys, like the Lord was just a huge part of this for me. Like, I just remember, you know, I had so much peace not doing standard treatments and like just really diving into like nutrition, health. My stepmom, one of her best friends was an NP, and she was super into like, I don't know, like I'm like half crunchy, half like wet, or, you know, like
I understand.
There's a good time and place for both. And she walked that line so well. And so I remember I got this diagnosis. I'm like, I'm going to go see her. And like, we started doing some different supplements. And I would say like the research I've done, again, not a doctor, just like somebody who likes to know things.
Yeah.
Which is part of why I think I became a counselor. Like you get to be nosy.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so I just like vitamin D, critical for your immune system. And so like I've had certain, you know, like so many people like, you know, because again, I was in all these mom groups and like, so over the years, like I've had dozens and dozens of people be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, have you checked your vitamin D levels? Like it is so important. Like if you look at a map on the world of cases of MS, the further from the equator, the higher incidence. Actually, Duluth, Minnesota has some of the highest population density of MS patients in the world.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's because you're not in the sun. You're not in the sun. Like it's so important. And
so do you just take a vitamin D?
Yeah. So D3, K2, like I could like in order for your body to absorb it properly, like just straight vitamin D, you know, and then again, like, okay, monitoring that, like going into the winter for us, like clearly like so pasty, like, you know, like you're not. And so like you can, you know, just
this is random, but like those lights, have you anybody tried
happy
those?
The happy lights?
Well, maybe not a happy light, but I thought there was some light therapy that people get in the winter.
Like red light therapy? No.
Well,
I know what you're talking about.
Your mom did it for a while because she had like seasonal affective disorder.
Sure.
And so it was like, it was supposed to kind of emulate
like, does
the
it
sun.
Yeah.
Like
so like if it were
to,
like if it were to help like that vitamin D production, right? Like, and so like that for me was huge. And so like, I just learned so much about that. Like, what am I deficient in? Like, what are some of the things? Like, how do I support my immune system?
Yeah.
And so like some of the things I did find, because I've always just been like, I'm going to do it. Like I've always joked achievement is my drug. Like my favorite thing to hear was like, I can't believe you could do that. I could never do it. And I'm like, oh yes. This is the best.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the best, right? Like, okay, like, you know, I'm going to get out of college by this time. Yeah. But like, there was definitely like a price for that. Like I went to college my senior year of high school. PSEO in Minnesota is fantastic.
Yep.
But what that allowed me to do is like, I only had to do college 2 days a week. So then I worked 3 jobs. So like there'd be days I could stack my jobs. I could work 60 hours in 3 days.
Jeez.
And so like energy drinks were like kind of newer at the, you know what I mean? Like Red Bull, like all those things. And so by the time I was 18 and I'm a freshman in college, I remember like I had just issues with like my stomach and like you're in college. And it got to the point where my roommate's like, I'm either calling my mom or you're going in. And she's like, this is so weird. You're 18. Like you have ulcers, like from stress. And so what I started to find out was like, leaky gut, like all of these things that can contribute to the health of your immune system. It's like 70 or 80% of your immune system is in your gut, like in your intestines. And so what I found was like, okay, there were some things lifestyle wise that I had done or been doing that contributed to like the lack of health in my immune system. And usually when I tell people this, they get offended because like, they're like, I didn't do this. I didn't want this. No, you didn't. Like you didn't want this.
Right.
But what the good news is, it's like, if you go, I contributed, that means you can reverse it. Like there are things then that you can now start to implement, but they're slow.
Yeah.
And so I would say like, that's the
biggest
thing. Like you're going to go into like a situation like this and, you know, they're going to be like, you need to know right now, right. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You know, okay, like if you're having a heart attack, yeah, you do need to know.
Yeah.
Right.
But like with this, like pause, pray, like take your space,
Mhm.
pause and pray. Like, oh my goodness. And so yeah, like I just really treated this naturally. And it was going really well. Well, I had started my master's. And again, like you've heard me say it, like I'm not a quitter.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was telling them like before we started, I actually have met Court's like family. I had started, you know, because I was staying at home full time. And so you were supposed to do 20 hours a week of ministry while you were in school. And I was like, well, I can't leave. Like I'm a stay-at-home mom. And so I started an online ministry group. And then people were like, hey, can you start small groups? And so I just started meeting with a bunch of strangers and was like, hey, I'm going to be at this Caribou. We're going to do a Bible study together. And met another stranger and was like, come to this other stranger's house, which happened to be Courtney's parents' house.
Which is funny because
That's cool.
she's like, I had to tell, like my husband was like, this is where you were telling him, this is where I'm at, that I have no reception. And literally my parents live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
And it's like pitch black out.
Yes.
It's
There's
pitch black
not
out.
lights on the road. It's
Dirt road. Yeah.
And I was like a little sketched out, but he's like, do you feel comfortable? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're the most welcoming house. Probably.
And they were
really
like, it was so great. And
Yeah.
I learned, you know, it was really fantastic. But because I was a stay-at-home mom and like as a parent, I think you sometimes will do these things where I'm like, okay, like I want to do this for me. Like this school, like this feels like it's for me.
Yeah.
And so what I did is rather than like try and do school while they're up, I was like staying up until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, I don't want to miss anything. Like, you know, we're a 1-income family. Like I want to learn everything. I'm going to get A's. And so like by that next spring, so this would have been 2017, I relapsed so hard. Everything was online. I couldn't type. I could barely stay awake. I was in a lot of pain.
Wow.
And I think because of the stress and like the lack of sleep. So it didn't matter how clean I was eating. It didn't matter how many supplements I was taking, even though I was doing things that I really, really loved and enjoyed. And so the doctor I was seeing, her name's Marie, and she looked at me and she goes, you need to put something down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, which is really hard for me.
Yeah.
Like I
really hard.
really didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, again, like I have worked really hard to be an agent, had to put that down. Like that was just kind of something that I've had to do quite a few times.
Yeah.
And it just felt like I was quitting. Like I just was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, like I didn't like that. But I also didn't like that I was in pain. I didn't like that I wasn't the mom, you know, like, and I always have said, like, being a mother is like my main ministry. Like I've gotten called in some really cool things, but like, that's it. Like, I love being a mom.
Yeah.
And so I remember like telling my husband, I'm like, I think like I can't step away from this ministry that the Lord has had me create. Like this online community was so cool for that season. And like, I guess I can't give you up. Like, I really do love you. Like, you're really fantastic.
I suppose you
I guess I'm a wife.
Yeah.
You know? And so I was like, I have to step away. And for me, I was so confused, right? Because I'm like, it's seminary. Like, I'm doing this for you, Lord. And he's like, but are you? Like, you're so sick. Like, it was like one of those things where I'm like, okay, like, what would be my reasons to stay? And it was just like embarrassment that I couldn't finish something. You know?
It's like, what are you actually teaching me right now?
You know? And he's like, yeah, you're not doing this for me anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fun for me.
Yeah.
This is fun self-realization. And so it was really interesting, like, you know, where I was like getting all of this validation from like achievement. And there was really good things I did learn. But I had to stop so that I could continue doing, you know, the things that I loved most, which was like staying at home with my kids, still being able to work out.
Yeah.
Like being able to use my legs when I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, and so like that one was pretty traumatizing. Like I had, you know, like I was like, wow, like I really can't do stuff.
Yeah.
And so we made the decision for me to step away. And then it was like, actually I was doing really, really good for a while. And like heat was starting to not bother me. And in 2018, which is my last date of my relapse.
Wow.
Serious.
Yeah. So I've been
for 5
like,
years you've been.
So since 2018.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, long time.
I feel like I didn't do the math that quick, but 5 years?
Yeah.
Almost 7. Right, 2018. It's 2025.
Oh yeah, did I say 5?
That's
You did
okay.
say 5.
I was thinking
I'm like-
2025 in my head, so then I said 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
7 years.
7 years.
My bad.
It will be this fall. And so yeah, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018, and it was pretty aggressive. And about a month later, I relapsed really hard.
Yeah.
And so literally, Jake was at work. I was home alone with my 3 kids, which is just an absolute nightmare, right? I go to stand up. And first of all, I'm sitting the way I am now because I always am sitting like all weird and wonky.
Same.
And I go to push the blanket off my lap. And this is what my arm does. I'm like, okay, right arm, like you're pushing, you don't think that. You're just like, I'm pushing it off. This one, right, it just sat here. It didn't do anything. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I go to stand up and then like I can't stand up. My leg isn't working.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
Yeah.
And I felt awful. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like I think I'm going to pass out. I'm home alone with our 3 kids. And so I called my father-in-law who lived 10 minutes away. I'm like, you need to get here now. Something's wrong. Like something's really bad. And then I had to explain to my oldest daughter, hey, like mommy doesn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
If I stop talking to you, like it's going to make me cry. Like if I stop talking to you, this is what you do. Paz is on his way. And then I called my husband. I'm like, you need to come home.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. I'm calling 911. And he's like, I think it's just your MS. I'm like, the only way to know is to go in.
Yeah.
And so like they show up. I'm like, here's my symptoms. And like at first, like I was able to like get out there because it came in waves. And like that's the other thing, like because it is so weird where it won't always be a constant. It just kind of comes in waves.
Yeah.
And so initially, like they're bringing me in and we're about halfway in. I'm like, oh, here's a wave. And he's like, shut your eyes, put your arms out. And I failed every stroke protocol. Like my arm wouldn't stay up. It was floating down. I couldn't keep it up. And so then we went lights and sirens. And that's when I had Bertha, right temporal lobe, massive lesion.
Wow.
And so at this point I knew like, and that's why I say like pause and pray. Like it's going to feel so emergent every time.
Yeah.
And I think because my mom was sick, and like there was just all these other things. I just felt like, oh, like I need to be better. I need to be fine. And I knew regular treatments weren't for me. And I did them anyways. And so you can do steroids. So if you've ever taken like prednisone, okay, like it shuts your immune system down. What they do for people with MS is it's a thing called Medrol. It's an infusion and they do 1,000 milligrams. So it's 30 times more potent than prednisone.
Wow.
And they give it to you 3 days in a row. And so I did these infusions, still actively like, having acute MS symptoms, and my heart just did not handle it good. So at this point, like Jake, I'm like, you can go back to work. My dad was coming to stay with me during the day when he was gone to like get my oldest to school. Like we weren't fully homeschooling at that point. And, his dad, my dad, one of us was there, like I was being monitored.
Yeah.
Like keep an eye on me. Right.
Yep. Right.
I remember coming out after getting the girls down to bed. I just desperately wanted things to be normal. And I was like, I don't feel good. Something's really wrong. Well, I was just telling them like before we started, we found out I have POTS, which is probably what was going on. And so I was having like a really severe arrhythmia. Call 911. I'm like, I cannot drive myself in. You got to take me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want the girls to have to wake up from their nap. Call my husband. I'm like, I'm going back in. Something's really wrong. He comes in and they kept being like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel wonky. I feel like whooshes, like something's wrong. Well, at this point, like they get me hooked up and my heart rate is going from like 160 down to 20. And then at this point, I passed out. I don't remember.
Like that quick.
Yeah, it was like, and so I don't remember about like 3-4 hours. Jake's like, they're coming in and out with a crash cart. When I finally like kind of get awareness of my life back, they were like, we're going to keep you. We might have to pace your heart unless it can start getting it together.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, that'd be great. And I was like, okay. and I remember like he was supposed to switch jobs. Like he was going to quit that day at the end of the day and start working for a guy where we knew he was going to make less money. It was going to be a better environment. The job he was at was very corporate. And just things that they like just started throwing at him, like we had plans with my mom for Saturday and they're like, you must come in. And it was like ick. And so I remember being in the hospital and like his old boss's wife came in and was like, they're doing an echo on my heart. And they're like, hey, when are you going back to work? And we're like, we made the right decision. Like, thanks for the confirmation.
Yeah, serious.
But I remember sitting there and like, anytime I stood up, my heart rate would spike. I felt terrible. And it was probably just, there were so many steroids. It just, there was a lot of side effects for me. And even leaving the hospital that day, like when I say God just so showed up for me in this, we were leaving and Jake was going to unlock my side of the door and I'm just sobbing and shaking. I'm like, I don't want to go back home. Like, what if I have to call 911 again? Because at this point, like I'm traumatized.
Yeah.
I'm just terrified. And this lady, like, I get in the car and she calls him over to her car. And I'm like, oh, she must be lost. Like, my husband just looks like he knows where he's going. Like, he just looks like you should ask him directions.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. You know.
I know.
And she handed him this little thing and she goes, I don't know what your wife's going through, but the Lord has this. And it was like this little cross. And so I'm like holding this little cross and I'm bawling. And I'm like, okay, I still don't know.
Yeah.
But that was the last time I had a relapse. And so,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah.
I
So
got full body goosebumps.
and so like there's so much that I have learned like since then. It really, like, you guys, like, it's been in like the past few weeks. So like since like you guys were like, yeah, like come talk to us.
Yeah.
I have found out January 2nd, I have found out I have MCAS, mast cell activated syndrome. And now I found out I have POTS. Well, here's something I found out. So if you are like diagnosed with MS or you have symptoms like this, something we did in our house in 2018, because where my husband got his new job, we were going to stay in our location. Originally, we wanted to move to Wisconsin, which we have now since done. But I was like, oh, we got to stay here. But we knew there was mold issues downstairs. As soon as we started digging into our house, we found mold everywhere.
Oh.
And so we did tons of mold remediation.
Mm-hmm.
Last known relapse, 2018, mold remediation. Haven't lived in a house with mold since.
Wow.
Interesting.
So be aware. Check for that. Holy cow. Yeah.
And so why MCAS is important, I just found, because again, like all these things, right? Like they all kind of group together.
Yeah.
Mast cell activated syndrome. I found this case of a girl. Actually, I think I found her account on Instagram and I wish I could remember what it was. She was diagnosed with MS, but she's like, I don't know. Found mold in her house. She ended up having MCAS. And what that will do is like your mast cells, there's probably someone who could explain it better. Like I'm pretty new at this. I can't write a paper on it yet.
Yeah.
But basically her mast cells were from the mold getting like kind of activated. And so like if you have MCAS, your body dumps too much histamine and a few other things. And so she was getting these MS-like lesions.
Oh.
And so now I'm like, I kind of want to go back and be like, okay, did I actually have MS, you guys? Like in the last like few weeks, I'm like, Jake, like I feel like did I actually have that? Like, or was this mold thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Right,
it does
right.
produce lesions. And so like, I don't know. Like those are all things that I'm like, mold definitely. Also, good chiropractic. Like I remember going in and I'm like, I'm in so much pain because I am hypermobile. Like my body does weird stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in so much pain. Like couldn't take a deep breath. It felt like my rib was dislocated. And they're like, oh, it's just your MS. And so this is another thing. Like if you do have a disease like this, doctors are going to be like, it's just MS.
Yeah.
Like
all the time. It's just.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. We were remodeling our house when we were doing our mold remediation. We were taking our old chimney out of our attic so we can knock a wall out. It was like dead chimney. Ended up with severe pneumonia. And I was like, I think I'm probably okay. And then like 3 weeks later, when I really wasn't okay and it got really bad, I went in and I was like, hey, like I'm really dizzy. These are all my symptoms. She's like, I think it's your MS. And they do I call them the stupid human tricks that they'll have you do. Can you push my arm? Can you pull my arm? Can you feel the cold? All these things
all
that
neurological tests.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember just being so frustrated. Jake's like, dude, you almost donkey kicked her off the bed. I'm like, she was making me mad. I was like, do you want to see how strong I am? Like, I was like, as I'm like wheezing and can barely breathe and so sick, high fever. And then they're like, you have double pneumonia. And so like everything you have going forward, once you have a disease like that, they're like, oh, is it your MS? And I'm like,
you're like, my tooth. They're like, it's your MS.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, listen.
I'm like, yeah, like every time you go in.
Yeah.
And so, like it just
being an advocate for yourself is
being
huge
an advocate for
that.
yourself and like just doing like it's okay to do your own research. Like there's a reason they call it practicing medicine. Like, and so I remember this was something, I don't know, kind of like at the beginning of my journey. So I went to school at Stout and they would have professors that were like, hey, you've got 20 years of experience. You get to be a professor because of your experience. And I'm like, okay, like, why aren't there people out there that are doctors? Like you have this much knowledge of like treating this for, like this specialty. I don't know. And so I just remember being like, there's no one doctor out there that if you're a neurologist that has to know all these things, like you're going to be a specialist in this one thing.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, it's okay to like do your own research and really like lean in and trust that. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
And like if you're like, like conventional medicine works, like that's great.
Yeah.
I think because I have some other things grouped along with it, like POTS and some of these other things, like I am allergic to a lot of antibiotics. Medicine doesn't work for me. I can't even do ibuprofen without getting sick, like and getting heartburn.
Yeah.
Like it just, so like not for me. But yeah, like it just, I don't know. Now, like I haven't had symptoms. I've been symptom free. Like I really do. It's one of those things where I'm like, I just feel like the Lord really healed that for me.
Yeah.
I think that he, you know, has the capacity to do that. I just do. And I just remember her being like, he has this. Like when she gave me that thing, and I was like, it was like one of those moments where I'm like, does he though? Like it was just like such a hard faith shaking moment for me where I'm like, I have small kids at home that I just have absolutely terrified. Like, does he really got this? And God's like, let me show you how I have this.
Yeah.
And I did.
Like, I feel like the one thing that I've learned from everything that like we have been through is just like, we want control so bad of our own life. And then you realize how much control you don't have.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I want the, and you're like, be patient, breathe. I'm like, I need answers to yesterday.
Yep.
3 days ago would have been great, you know? And then you realize you're like, I can't control everything.
Right.
No. Yeah. Like we remodeled our house and then like a year later, my husband's job moved. He had been in, where the heck was he? I don't know. He like St. Paul or something. And so like not convenient to move closer to like my dad and stepmom. And then they moved and I was like, oh my gosh. And then there was a house on the market and I'm like, we could move to Wisconsin and be 5 miles from like my dad and my stepmom and the horses and all these things. And so like we have like a brand new, like exactly how we wanted a house. And I'm like, oh, we're going to move. And not that there's anything wrong with our house, but like,
right.
There's things that like would not be Ethan approved. Like there's like 18 different colors of wood.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like corners don't match.
Ethan would.
And like there are things that like I stare at on the daily and I'm like, I don't have the capacity to fix this, but I'm going to fixate on it.
Yeah. I'm just going to stare at it.
You know, and then, yeah.
So we have a couple questions.
Yes.
Okay. So my biggest question is always, so what was the most helpful thing that people did for you and what is one of the most unhelpful things? Like if you could say, like through your experience, like what do you feel like?
Yeah. Like the most helpful thing for someone, especially like myself, like don't be like, hey, what can I do for you? Like, what do you need? I don't know, Janet. I don't know anyone named Janet. So I can't use that name. Yeah. I don't think. I don't know. But like, just show up. Like I had friends that would just like come sit in bed with me. I had friends that would just show up and like do special things with my kids. Like just show up. Like especially like bring me food. Like making meals. Like why do we have to do this so much every single day, all day, every day?
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then like the people in my life like really like to eat the food. And it just was a lot of food. You know, like bring me food. Like bring the food. Always. Food, bring the food.
Yep.
And just do it. Like you
don't
know,
ask.
Don't ask.
It does put a little bit more pressure on you when they're asking because you're like, now I have to come up with something.
Yeah.
Like I don't
have
know
the capacity
right.
Your brain's not there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just like, my own thing is like I can do it myself. I can do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, like this weird hyper independent thing. And so like just show up.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're there, like I'll be polite enough to be like, I guess come in my house. Like,
yeah.
But just show up. Like don't ask. Like just, you know, my mom would do this thing like where she would just come grab my laundry. Or like my stepmom would just bring me food. Like, you know, like they just would do stuff.
Yeah.
For me. The least helpful thing, like I'm sharing with you guys, like if you find out you have MS or like, you know a friend that just had it, like do not lead with like every person I met. They're like, I knew someone with MS. I'm like, oh, they're like, they died. And I'm like, cool. They're like, they were really young, really painful death. And I'm like, fantastic.
Oh my God.
Like read the room. Like,
well, and I think,
listen, if you wouldn't want to hear that yourself, like why would you ever tell somebody that?
Right.
Like to me, I'd be like, thank you. Like now I'm paranoid.
Right. And like I had, you know, again, like I don't work with a neurologist anymore. I like quote unquote fired everyone I did work with. The last one I saw was at the U and he told me I was a bad mother for not doing treatment the way he thinks I should have.
Wow.
And he's like, you don't love your kids. You're not going to be working by the time, like you won't walk at 35, which I am today. Still like weight lift and do all the things and work.
Can you send him a video like, hi, I just wanted to tell you.
I'm like my petty little biscuits 100%. Just want to like moonwalk into that room. I don't know how to moonwalk, but I've learned.
Watch him like not even remember that. I feel like sometimes people don't even like because some doctors have said stuff to us that I'm like, why would you say?
And like, why would you speak that over my life?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
I don't accept it. Thank you.
How dare you? You know, in Jesus' name, no.
Yeah.
Wow. And so like,
don't lead with that.
Don't do that. Like, and just like, it is so different for each person because again, like where you get lesions in your brain, like your brain controls all these different things, your spine, like it is so, you know, different for everyone.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And so like, like don't be afraid to like go, hey, like I'm going to question what you're telling me. I'm going to question, you know.
Yeah.
But also like, don't be like, well, that didn't work for me, so it's not going to work for you and you're not going to be walking.
Yes.
And your kids are going to have a terrible mother.
That's a great point. Like having somebody who is experiencing that too doesn't mean your experiences are going to be the same. Like what works for one person isn't going to work for everyone across the board.
Correct.
So that's very important. So
but I think the way that you said it though, like that wasn't for me. It might be for somebody else. I think it's in all the podcasts that we're doing, talking about, you know, different specific conditions or mental health or whatever. Like there's so many options.
There is.
Like be your own advocate, do the research.
Right. Yep.
Don't let just a doctor who should know what they're saying tell you what you need. Like do your research. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Some people are going to really benefit from the medication and that's going to be great for them. Other people like you are not. And you're going to do more of the holistic thing and it's going to be great for you. Yeah. You know,
dude, pause and pray. Like so worth it. Cause let me tell you, henny penny, like it can get, you know, I can run it out the end zone. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I got a solution. It might not be the best solution, but it's like, I can move forward then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my husband's always like, okay, like let's just pause a moment, you know,
pause and pray.
Pause and pray.
Sorry. Yeah. You got a question?
Yeah. I think you, in the questionnaire that you filled out prior to coming, like the biggest message you want to take away, you talked about, you know, just obviously we've learned today so much about you. You are very much an achiever. Like, nobody's going to tell me no, Courtney's like the exact same way. So going through the hardships that you've gone through with the MS and then now the additional two that you talked about, like, how has that impacted you as an achiever and caused kind of that shift?
Yeah. So like just the hardest circumstances for me have just provided the best life changes.
Oh my goodness.
Like just being able to sit down and sit still. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. 100%. It seems like at the time you're like, I don't even know if I can get through this.
Well, I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Allie is not a runner. Who is that?
Yeah.
Allie is not an achiever. Allie is not being tied to this. Who is that person?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
I got goosebumps.
That's not your identity.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, like, you know who the Lord created you to be. That's not what it is. That's not your identity. And
love it.
So, yeah, like I think for me, like that was just the biggest thing, you know.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
For sharing your story. Like this was so, first of all, I didn't know anything about MS. So like learning about it and just even awareness of it in general, I think is so, so important.
Yeah.
Because
it's
like a hidden, and it's almost like a hidden thing that you have. You look
normal.
You
I actually
look
have like
normal.
a giant tattoo on my back because I remember when I had it, I'm like, you can't tell anything. And so I got this like huge tattoo on my back because I was like, I wanted something on the outside to be like, you got this going on. Like, I don't know. It just, So,
well, thank you for coming and sharing your story.
Thanks, guys.
It was so fun. And you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always bad at that.
No, it's all good. Such an incredible story. We appreciate you coming out here and we love your story. And I know it'll inspire a lot of other people. And good for you for advocating for yourself and doing all the research.
Oh my gosh.
Keep doing the talking. I need to hear that.
Yes. All right, you guys. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.